Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I have another cook with me video. This is, I'm going to be making hamburger soup. I've never made it before, but I figured how bad could it be? If you guys have been following me a while, you know that I am on a weight loss journey, and my weight loss journey involves moderation and all the food groups and all that kind of stuff. Also, I'm doing a pantry freezer challenge, and I've been doing that since the beginning of the year. And so I'm really trying not to go to the store. Even before all this other stuff was going on, I was avoiding going to the store, just trying to eat on what I had. And meal prep is really important. My job is considered essential. I am a care provider. I provide services to special needs individuals. So I'm still working right now. So the meal prep really helps because I'm actually working extra hours right now with everything that's going on. Some of the clients need extra care and all that, all that extra stuff. I'm not going to get into that in this video. But I'm just trying to do a lot right now. I'm trying to clean out my freezer and pantry and not spend money so that I can put money towards other things. I'm trying to avoid the stores because of everything that's going on. Plus the fact that I'm doing the pantry challenge. I'm trying to meal prep, and I'm trying to stay up to date with my weight loss and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot going on at this house. But I am going to show you guys my hamburger soup, and I'm gonna, yeah, so I've never made it before, but I don't think it could be too bad. I also saw online that some people add noodles to the soup. I will not be adding noodles because I'm trying to make like a low calorie meal, and the noodles are going to add more calories than I want to add. Also, I just meal prepped a couple of days ago a Sloppy Joe's, and the video for that is already up on my channel, so check that out. And so that I have a big bed of rice under the Sloppy Joe's. So just to, just so I'm not just eating pasta and rice, I'm trying to load this up with more vegetables. But if I start to get bored with this, I might add rice or pasta or different things like that. And also some of this soup might end up in my freezer. And I personally don't really think soups with noodles in them turn out that well in the freezer, at least in my opinion. So I like to have that versatility that if I get tired of the soup, that I could put it in my freezer and then later on add noodles. So anyway, so get ready to see this hamburger soup with me. Okay guys, so I am chopping up some vegetables. These are some carrots that I got a while back. I think I paid 89 cents or $1 or something for the pound of carrots. And the peppers I got for free, and the onion I got for free. All I have left is a half of an onion. Now what I do is I'm cutting up the carrots and I'm putting them in a container, and then they're going to go in my freezer, and I will use them for different recipes. And then in here, I am going to put the scraps so that later on I can make broth with the vegetable scraps. And the onion and the peppers are actually going to go for a recipe that I'm making tomorrow. But since I'm cutting up the carrots, I figured I'd cut them all up together, and then the scraps from the peppers and the onion can go in here with the carrots. So this is everything already cut up and prepped. So these are carrots, and they're going to go into my freezer. And this is some of the onion that's going into my freezer. And then these are just scraps, again, that will go in the freezer. And then once I have a bunch of bones and vegetable scraps, I will make a broth. And then this is onions and 2 types of peppers. And this is for a meal I am making tomorrow. So this is what I do. I really try not to waste anything. But this is a good way if you somehow get fruits and vegetables, in this case just vegetables, maybe you bought too much, or maybe you're not eating as much as you thought, or maybe someone gave you stuff, or you went dumpster diving or went to the farmer's market and got a great deal. Whatever it might be, there's always a way to stretch the vegetables and to use them all up. Nothing got thrown away. There is no scraps whatsoever in my trash can of any of this from tonight. It's all being utilized. So this is what I'm using. Instead of ground beef, which is what the recipe calls for, I am using ground turkey. And in the recipe that I saw, it said use lean hamburger. So I'm using ground turkey. I actually got this for free from volunteering at the food pantry. Then it calls for diced tomatoes, corn, and sauce. I just have a spaghetti sauce, so that's what I'm going to use. And the tomatoes, the sauce, and the corn were all free from volunteering at the food pantry as well. It calls for carrots. So these are some frozen carrots that I prepped just a few days ago. And onions and peppers. It does not call for onions and I think it calls for onions. It doesn't call for peppers, but I pretty much add peppers to everything. The onions and the peppers are from dumpster diving, and when I was dumpster diving all the time, I came across a lot of peppers and onions, so then I would chop them up so that I would have them like this for recipes. This is a good thing to do with most vegetables and fruit that you get. Instead of it going bad and you throwing it away, just prep it. The recipe also calls for celery. I do not have celery, but I do have a celery seasoning, so I will add a little bit of that to the soup. I think that's all that it calls for as far as ingredients. So the only thing here that I paid for was the carrots, and I got, I think it was a pound or 2 pounds of carrots for like 80 cents or $1 or something like that a while back. So this entire thing of soup is going to cost me just a few cents. Like I would say this is probably two carrots, maybe a carrot and a half. So I'm guessing it's going to cost me like 20 or 30 cents for this entire pot of soup, and it's supposed to be 8 servings. So I'm going to go ahead and start browning the turkey. In here, the meat is cooking. I have it in my big pot. The soup is not going to take up this whole pot, but this is the pot that I prefer to cook with. As you can see, the meat is just cooking up, and then I'll just have to add that stuff. I forgot to mention that the recipe also calls for bouillon cubes. It actually calls for 6 bouillon cubes, and I only happen to have 3, but we're going to make do. I've got other stuff up in my spice cupboard that I can add. And these bouillon cubes were actually free. I got a jar of bouillon cubes from the dumpster over the summer. So they've lasted me quite a while. So I'm going to let this cook. And then what you do is you add the ingredients, you let it boil, and then you let it simmer for about an hour and a half. But I'm going to show you guys that after I let this cook a little bit more. So the meat is just about done cooking. As you can see, there's a little bit of pink left, which is fine with me. And then I am going to start pouring in the vegetables. I've got the tomatoes and the corn. And the other thing is I have one of these, it's like a beef bouillon cubes. Well, this is chicken flavored, but it's already powdered for you. And I get these at the Dollar Tree. And I don't mind mixing the beef with the chicken. That's not a big deal for me. All right, well, I got to go ahead and get the water, and then I will show you guys all the other stuff that I am going to add. And the recipe actually called for frozen corn, but I had canned corn, but I had frozen carrots, so you can use frozen. I also saw that on some people's recipe they added peas. I don't really like peas, so I'm not going to add that to mine, but that is another option. I also wanted to add that mine is ground turkey. However, use what you've got. If you have chicken, if you have pork, if you have ground beef, whatever you have. If you don't eat meat or don't have meat or whatever your situation is, you could add beans, you could add lentils, You could beef it up, pun intended. You could beef it up with more carrots, more tomatoes. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. This is very versatile. And as I said before, you could add rice, you could add noodles, you could add barley. That would be something really like the pearl barley. That stuff would be really good in this soup too. I wish I had that, but I don't. So just remember, it's very versatile and make it to your liking. This is all the ingredients in the soup. I need it to come to a boil, and then I will let it simmer. I also have had the lid on it. I took it off so that you guys could see, and these are the spices that I added. I added some Italian herb, minced onion, salt, powdered onion powder, garlic powder, crushed rosemary, and my last bay leaf. These all these came from the Dollar Tree, except for the bay leaf. The bay leaves came from Walmart. The salt came from the Dollar Tree. These three are from the Dollar Tree. And this, I got a bunch of spices when my mother-in-law moved. I got to take, she didn't want any of her spices, so I got to take them. So since this one's a little bit older, I'm using this one up too. The Dollar Tree is a great place to get your spices. Like, look at how big this one is. It's huge. So I'm going to let this boil. It's starting to bubble a little bit, and then let it simmer. As you can see, my bay leaves, and I'm going to give this a good stir. Okay, it is now boiling, and I am going to turn it down to simmer. I'll have the lid on it, and I will let it simmer for about an hour, hour and a half, and come and check the flavor. I also wanted to add that I am adding celery seed. I don't have fresh or frozen celery. I actually got this, again, this one was from when my mother-in-law moved. She moved several states away, and she didn't really want anything in her kitchen, so I was able to take stuff. And that's something else, too, if people offer you stuff, or if they're moving and they want you to look through their stuff, and there's stuff that you need, mine as well. Fresh, of course, is better, but it always helps to have stuff on hand for just in case you don't have fresh. So this is really boiling. I've turned it down. I'm going to put the lid on and let this simmer. I decided last minute to add some garbanzo beans or chickpeas, however you guys call them. I just wanted the soup to be a little bit more bulky. The soup was originally going to be 185 calories a serving. Now it's going to be 240 calories a serving, which is fine with me. It's still low calorie, but the chickpeas are going to help keep you full longer. It's going to add bulk to the recipe. So I'm just going to add that in. There we go. And then I will let that continue to cook. The soup is done. I am just going to let it cool off for a little bit. And then I am going to put it into the containers. It's supposed to be about 8 servings, and the 8 servings each will be about 140 calories. So I'm going to let it cool down a bit, and then I will evenly disperse it between these containers, and each one will be a serving, and then it can be a lunch or a dinner or a breakfast or however you want to do it. And then once they're in the containers, then you could put them in the freezer. They would be good for somebody's lunches and different things. And since I still go to work, I will have options between this and the Sloppy Joes that I made for lunch, and then I'll have stuff ready for dinner when I get home. This is the soup all dished out into the 8 containers. I tried to make it as even as possible. And it's still a little hot. It's cooled down quite a bit, but I'm going to let them cool down just a little bit longer before I put them in the fridge. I tasted it. It turned out pretty good. I actually prefer a little bit more broth, so I think next time I'll probably put in a little more broth and maybe more vegetables. But I made this for about 30 cents, and that was the carrots. Everything else was given to me. I had it on hand, but it was given to me for free originally. Because I'm not counting the spices, although a lot of the spices, as I said, were given to me by my mother-in-law when she moved. So this is another meal all prepped and ready to go. Here is the inside of my fridge. These are the soups, and this row is the soups, and then that row is the sloppy joes and green beans with rice. As you can see, so this is my middle shelf is for my meal preps. This is 13 individual meals, so I will be using them for lunches and dinners. So it's a good amount so that you're not necessarily getting tired of what you're eating, but it's enough where it's worth your time to meal prep. And it probably took me to do all this 2 hours, maybe. And it took a little bit longer because the soup has to simmer for about 1.5 hours, but I'm not counting simmering time because I was watching TV and doing other stuff while I was simmering. But chopping up vegetables, stirring pots, different things like that took about 2 hours, if not less. And all these meals together cost me under $3 for these 13 meals, which is amazing. And then you can always eat them with a yogurt, a string cheese, some fruit, some extra vegetables, what have you, and you have a well-balanced, planned meal. So I hope that this encourages you guys to meal prep, use what you have. You can still work on your fitness goals, your weight loss goals, even though we have to stay at home. There's still ways around everything that we want to do. And even anytime, meal prepping is really great. If you don't like leftovers, that's fine. Then this is not for you. But if you don't mind leftovers, or like me, I really I'm not that fond of cooking. It helps me to know when I get home from work that I have something ready to go, and you don't even have to think about it. And it's really great, especially if you are a working parent of some sort. Then you can be like, dinner's already ready, we already know what we're having, or lunches are all ready, or we have stuff pre-made in the freezer. I know there's a lot of people that worry about different preservatives and different things like that, like in frozen meals, but you can make your own frozen meals for a fraction of the price, and you control what's in it. And, you know, a lot of people have allergies or different dietary restrictions, and you can totally build it around that. So just a reminder, I paid 30 cents for 8 containers of soup. That's amazing. Please consider subscribing to my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you that watches my videos, whether you subscribe or not. I appreciate each and every one of you. Comment down below any questions that you have. If I don't want to answer them, I won't, but for the most part, I answer the questions that I'm asked. If you have any video ideas, video requests, put them down below. I can't oblige all of them, but I can oblige some of them. And I have an Instagram, The Frugal Life with Mercedes. I post pictures up there of my hauls and meal preps and different things like that. Yeah, and also, I haven't mentioned this in a while, but there is an article about me and my dumpster diving. If you Google dumpster diving Mercedes, there is an article about me and my dumpster diving, and it's just kind of fun. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye.